What is your school mascot and school colors?
Good question. Our school mascot is actually the Bears, the Baylor Bears, and our school colors are green and gold. Just like that. You got it. hmm
Go ahead, William.
How did that become the mascot?
How did it that you guys became the Bears?
Good question. All I know about it is actually they took a vote on it at one point, and it was between the Bears or the Baylor Bookworms, and they voted on the Bears, thankfully. So.
I don't know if that would be too intimidating, playing a sports team being the bookworms.
It'd be tough. It would be fighting uphill.
I think that we did speak to the banana slugs last year, which were out in California,
Yeah,
and
Santa
they've
Cruz.
they've kind of embraced the banana slug tradition. But I don't know if the banana slugs still seem a little tougher than the bookworms.
Yeah, that'd be an intriguing matchup.
How many students attend at your school?
So how many students attend Baylor?
Right now, right about 13,000 actually on our campus here.
So 13,000 students. Wow, that's now you would actually probably consider that a medium-sized school, correct?
It is, yeah. We're really right in between a lot of the schools I see up on that board up behind you. A lot of those schools will be, bigger or smaller than us. We're kind of right in the middle. Like TCU, for instance, is a little bit smaller. But for instance, like Michigan would be a lot bigger. State schools here in Texas are usually around 40 to 50,000. We're right around 13,000, and then smaller private schools are usually 3,000, 2,000, somewhere around there.
Now, for your school with 13,000, do you guys have provide housing for your students, especially those coming from out of state?
We do, all first year students here live on campus. So if you're a freshman here, you'll live in a dorm on campus here.
Excellent. Go ahead, Mia.
How big are your class sizes?
So, how big are your class sizes there at Baylor with 13,000 students?
Good question. All of our classes usually average around 27. So it's usually 27 to 30 in a class. Most classes the biggest they'll get would be around 40 to 50.
Now, I know we've talked to quite a few schools where they have, some of those entry-level courses that are lecture halls where you'll have several hundred students in there. Does Baylor offer anything like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do. Yeah, some of them will be larger lectures and involve, especially if they're entry-level classes, they'll have a lot more students. Once they get more specialized, they'll be a little bit smaller classrooms, and even have around like 15 students sometimes. So.
Gotcha. Perfect.
How far is your school from Keensburg, New Jersey?
So we know you're in Texas, but how far are you guys from us here in New Jersey?
I looked it up on Google Maps, so I think you're right around 1,600 miles away. It'd take about 24 hours to drive that in a car, so or maybe a little bit longer depending on traffic up there in the Northeast. So you could plan on a full day, day and night driving to get here.
And that's if for example, 24 hours would be a huge distance for us to drive.
Yeah.
I would say that most students probably fly to school if they're going to come to stay in Waco there.
Yeah.
Is there an airport that's close to the Baylor campus?
There is an airport in Waco. It's a smaller regional airport, so usually you'll fly into Dallas or Austin, which is about an hour and a half
Oh, okay.
away.
So not too far.
No, it's not too bad.
What types of things are there to do and around your school?
So what types of things are there to do on the Baylor campus and then in the surrounding area of Waco itself?
Yeah, well, on Baylor campus, there's quite a few things to do. We've got our own recreation center here. We've got a rock wall if you like to climb rocks or mountains. We've got our own pool. We've got obviously a huge library if you like to read. Around the campus, actually, I should mention, on the campus, we actually have two living bears, real live bears. We have our own bear habitat. You can look it up on our website, actually, it tells a little bit more about it. But Joy and Lady are their names. two black bears that live here on campus, and serve as our kind of community mascots. So it's almost like a small zoo that they have in the middle of campus here, and you can go say hi to them. Don't pet them. But you can say hi. And then we also have a really large park right off campus called the Cameron Park. A lot of hiking, biking trails. There's a river that runs right through it, so there's a lot to do there as well.
Excellent. Now, what about in the town of Waco? Is there like restaurants, shops, movie theaters, things like that?
Yeah, if you like barbecue, come to Waco. There's a lot of small restaurants here, a lot of really local type restaurants that you won't find anywhere else. So a lot to eat here. Like I said, the park here hosts a lot of biking events, a lot of running events. There's different triathlons that are here throughout the year. So there's quite a bit going on just in the downtown area next to campus.
Now, you said you had the two live bears on campus. Are there students that are in charge of taking care of those bears, or is it done primarily by like an outside vet or company?
Yeah, it's called the Baylor Chamber of Commerce that takes care of them, and they're kind of there are a couple professional animal handlers that are in charge of that, but there's also students that are part of that and will help with feeding and taking care of them here.
So if you go to Baylor, you could join that Baylor Student of Commerce and be in charge of taking care of those two bears.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Mia.
Do most students do any?
So being that we'd be coming from out of state, do most students stick around, and is there a lot to do on the weekends there at Baylor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On the weekends, there's always stuff going on campus. It seems like there's always either a football game, a basketball game going on, or there's even just little events within like where you live in your residence hall, your dorm. So there's always stuff going on campus. In town, there's always plenty you can find to do. Like I said, if you want to eat out or go see a movie, one thing Waco is famous for is having really cheap movies to go to.
Excellent.
It's usually around $5. We also have a dollar theater, so it's even less than that sometimes. So that's something a lot of kids do. And then, most students do stay around on the weekends. Like I said, Austin, Texas, and Dallas, Texas are about an hour and a half in each direction. So you can also go there if you're looking for something else.
Good. Go ahead, John.
What types of sports are offered at your school?
Now, what types of sports are offered at your school? Now, I know you guys have been in the news quite a lot, especially with your women's basketball team and last year with your football team. But what other types of sports are offered there?
Other types of sports we have are obviously basketball, football, baseball. The baseball team did really well last year as well. We have men's and women's tennis. We have gymnastics. We don't have swimming. That's kind of one of the main sports we don't have. We have women's volleyball, softball, track, pretty much everything. We also have club sports, so those wouldn't be really so much against other teams. Well, we play other club teams, but we have like rugby, we have field hockey, things like that in the club level.
Yeah, that's one thing we've kind of noticed too. A lot of the kids here play, little league sports, baseball, football, basketball, and I said, you may want to go to one of these bigger schools that are Division I, but you might not have all the skills that you have to make it onto that Division I team. A lot of schools will offer either a club sport or an intramural sport where you could still play that sport at your school, but you're not playing competitively against other schools.
Yeah, that's exactly what we have. So we also have intramurals, which is just kind of within the school here, and we have that for most main sports too.
Excellent. Go ahead, John. Do you have any rivals?
I've got a couple. Pretty much any school in the state of Texas we would call a rival. So Texas Tech, Texas A&M, University of Texas, the Longhorns, and now a little bit more TCU because they just joined the Big 12 here. So TCU is kind of taking that role right now because they're also a private school.
I think a lot of times when you speak to schools, if there's other schools in that state that you play against, that's going to probably be your biggest rivals.
Yeah, exactly.
You always want to take pride in being the state champion there.
Very true.
Go ahead, John. Does your school have any traditions?
Yeah, we've got a couple of them. The main one that comes to mind would be our homecoming. That's a weekend, usually in early November, where a lot of, I guess, adults that graduate from Baylor will come back to campus. We have a really big parade that goes all through downtown, and then through campus there's some really big floats that the students make, and that's a really good tradition. And there's always a football game that goes on after that. So it's usually kind of a big 3-day event here that goes on a weekend in November, and that's a really fun one to visit on. If you get a chance to ever come for that, it's a good time.
I know that was always a tradition too, even at the school that I went to, because
Mm-hmm.
it kind of gives the ability for those people who have graduated, regardless of when, to come back and really get to see what has changed on the campus since they've
Yeah.
attended school there. And a
Mhm.
lot of times you'll see, people who now have children attending that school, they still come back and visit and get to be, take part in the festivities that are there. And, having the parade and things, and then, ending with a football game right after that, it really brings the whole community kind of together.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a great time.
So what is Baylor best known for?
In terms of like academically.
Academically, yeah.
Mhm. I think the most popular major we have here right now is business. We have a really good entrepreneurship program, so a lot of students will come here that want to learn how to start their own business, run their own stores, or run their own type of trade. Another one would be pre-medical. So if anyone is interested in becoming like a doctor, a lot of students come here to take those type of classes before they go on to medical school. So those are probably the two more popular ones. We also have our own nursing school.
Oh, nice.
So all those areas are pretty big.
Excellent. Good, Scott.
Why do people choose to attend your school?
So when people come to Baylor and visit, what is it about Baylor University and your campus that makes people really want to choose to attend school there?
Well, I'd say the Bears, again, they're really impressed when they see the Bears on TV. But yeah, overall, I think it's a combination of being a school that has a lot of things you can study. There's just a lot of things to choose from, but also still being somewhat of a smaller school where you can get to know everyone's name, and you'll get to know your professors really well. And then it's also a Christian school, so that's also a really big draw for most students here that want to come to a school that has a faith-based background and emphasis in their studies.
Excellent.
How big is your campus?
So how big is the campus in Waco?
Yeah, campus is right around, I think, 800 acres, maybe close to 1,000 if you include all the athletic fields. So I'm not sure how that would translate.
How far would it take if you were to walk from one side to the other?
It would take a good, probably a good 15 minutes.
Excellent.
How do most people get around campus?
So being that big, how do most people get around that campus?
A lot of scooters, a lot of bikes, sometimes a person on a bike pulling someone on a scooter that broke down, and then skateboards and, a lot of walking too. Usually, you won't have classes on opposite ends of the campus, so you can usually walk and, make things in time.
So Baylor is a bike-friendly campus, because we've actually spoke to a few campuses recently who say they are not bike-friendly. It is strictly walking. There's no wheels policy on some campuses, which was interesting to us.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. No, we've got a lot of bikes going around, so, but yeah, wear a helmet.
What are your most popular majors?
So besides business, what else are your most popular majors there at Baylor?
Mm-hmm. Engineering's a really big one. We've got a really big engineering school. Said nursing's a big one. Education. So if any of you want to be a teacher, it's also got a very big education school here.
Excellent.
Mhm.
What is the cost of your school?
So what is the cost of Baylor? We know it's a private school in Texas, so what's the cost for us to come from New Jersey to attend school at Baylor?
Yeah, tuition for a year altogether is right around $35,000, and then you'd add on some for housing and other fees. It'd be in the mid 40,000s per year.
Yeah.
Do you offer scholarships?
Now, do you offer scholarships?
We do, yeah. Based on test scores from like the SAT or ACT, you'll get an automatic award when you're accepted here, and that could be as much as like 17,000 a year or more. We do give automatic scholarships like that, and there's other ones you can apply for just based on what you want to study.
Now, the ACT and SAT score scholarships, that's automatic. So if you score well enough on your standardized tests, when you apply, you don't have to apply at all for that scholarship. It's automatically offered to you.
Correct.
That's great. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, try to make it as easy as possible.
Alumni. Go ahead. Alumni. Do you have any famous alumni from Baylor?
That's a good question. We do. Mainly, what comes to mind for me is athletes, usually. So Mike Singletary, who was a linebacker in the NFL, played for the 49ers. Michael Johnson, who used to be the world's fastest man, went to Baylor. I don't know if you guys know who Trey Wingo is. He's on ESPN a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the reporters for them. He went to Baylor. And then, I don't know if you guys watch The Office, but Angela from The Office went to Baylor. So that's probably my favorite one right there.
Scarlett knew that one.
Nice.
And then, of course, your big time NFL star this past season.
Yep.
Robert
Griffin, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, how is a couple of the schools we talked about say that a lot of the alumni take part in a lot of events back on campus, even though they've left. Do you find that with Baylor as well?
Yeah. Homecoming, like you said, is a really big one. That's when, a lot of parents will come back to see their kids, and then just they want to see how campus has changed. So homecoming's a big one. We also host, there's different alumni events, really almost at any sports event. So there'll be, food or a suite ready for alumni to come back to. So those are kind of the main ones. Yeah, mainly homecoming though.
Go ahead, Aaron.
What do you like most about your school?
So what do you like most about working at Baylor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, working at Baylor has been a really good experience. We get to do a lot with, just the campus in terms of we'll get free tickets to sporting events, which I really like. And then also just getting to be part of the school in terms of get to use their facilities in terms of like the pool, the libraries, things like that. Also, one thing that they really do that's nice is for all their employees, we can take free classes if we want to in the graduate school or undergrad. So basically, for working here, you can go to school for free if you want to.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now we have some Baylor signs here, and we wanted to know, especially with your women's team being in the NCAA tournament, are there any kind of Baylor cheers or chants that we could do here at our school to help us get ready for attending Baylor?
Yeah, we do have one. I don't know if it'll translate to the camera very well, but basically hold up your hand like this, kind of like a claw, the bear claw.
Good.
And then you kind of let your voice rise and go, ah, and then you say, sick 'em bears, and then you thrust down your claw here, and then you bring it back up real fast.
So
Like you say,
sick 'em bears. You guys, you ready? Here we go.
That's kind of the main one.
Sick 'em bears. How's that one?
Wonderful.
All right. Now, John had the question. Do you guys have a law school at Baylor?
We do. Baylor Law School is a little bit separate from Baylor, but it's still associated with the campus and with the school here. It's right actually kind of behind this building. It's fairly new in terms of the building itself. It's really a really beautiful building. It's right on the river. It's it's just a great facility. So we do have our own law school here.
Now, do you guys the majority of the law school students attend Baylor first for undergrad and then go to the law school?
Quite a few do. Not all of them though. It's really a pretty big mix. I know students there that went to University of Texas or went to smaller schools in the area, and then quite a few that went to Baylor too.
Excellent. Any other questions? Okay. No? You want to ask any questions? Go ahead, Wade. Right now, do you have? William wants to know if you have any famous personnel attending classes there at Baylor.
Ooh, not that I know of. It was a rumor that Justin Bieber wanted to come here, but I don't think that was true.
That's a good one for this age group.
Oh yeah.
I know Scarlett had asked too. For the housing, is it just one roommate in a room, or do you guys also have like the suites where you can have more than one roommate in there?
It'll change. Usually it's one though. Sometimes it'll be three in a room, but it just kind of depends. You can kind of choose what you want.
Anybody else? No? All right. What do we say to Mr. Scott? Oh, go ahead, Ariana. Do you know what kind of food you guys feed the bears?
That's a really good question. I actually don't. I know they feed them a lot of plant, vegetable type stuff, and I'm sure they feed them some meat too to keep them strong. So that's a good question. I'll have to go find that out.
All right. So what do we say to Mr. Scott for taking time out of his morning to talk to us?
Thank you.
I know it's actually very early there in Waco, so I thank you very much
The sun's just coming up.
Yeah, I know. I see that. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us this morning.
No
All right,
problem.
let's
Thank
give
you
him a
guys so
Sick 'em
much,
Bears
guys.
cheer. Ready? Go ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a
good
great
day.
one. Bye.
Bye-bye.